Welcome to Spagtastic. In this lesson, we will be learning how to use the passive voice. This is a level 6 skill. Many verbs can be active or passive. In the sentence, the dog chewed the bone, this has an active verb. The subject of the sentence or the thing that did the action is the dog. The verb or action is chewed, and the object, the person or thing affected by the verb, is the bone. In this sentence, the subject, which is the dog, performs the action, and this is why it is an active sentence. This action affects the object, which is the bone. In the sentence, the children caught the ball, there is also an active verb. The subject of this sentence is the children, the verb or action is caught, and the object is the ball. This sentence is an active sentence because the subject, which is the children, perform the action which affects the object, which is the ball. Here are some tips to help you identify if a sentence is active or passive. If the subject is performing the verb, it is an active sentence. If the subject is having the action done to it, it is a passive sentence. If it is not clear who is performing the action, it is a passive sentence. Let's look at some examples of active and passive sentences. The children sang beautifully is an active sentence because we know who did the singing, it was the children. However, if the sentence is changed to beautiful singing took place, we don't know who did the singing, so this is a passive sentence. Let's look at some more active and passive sentences. In the sentence, the farmer harvested potatoes from the field, this is an active sentence because the subject of the sentence is the farmer, and it is the farmer who is performing the action or verb. If the sentence is changed to potatoes are harvested from the field, we don't know who did the action. In this case, we aren't told who harvested the potatoes, so this is now a passive sentence. We can add the person doing the action back into the sentence. Remember, it's the farmer. The sentence is now, potatoes are harvested from the field by the farmer. This is still a passive sentence because the subject of the sentence is now the potatoes, and they are having the verb done to them. The potatoes are being harvested. Passive sentences often use the word by. Here is another example. In the sentence, Mrs. Lee organised a school trip. This is an active sentence because the subject of the sentence is Mrs. Lee, and it is Mrs. Lee who is performing the action or verb. She organised the trip. If the sentence is changed to a school trip was organised, we don't know who did the action. In this case, we aren't told who organised the trip, so this is now a passive sentence. We can add the person doing the action back into the sentence. In this case, it is Mrs. Lee. The sentence is now, a school trip was organised by Mrs. Lee. This is still a passive sentence because the subject of the sentence is now the school trip, and it is having the verb done to it. A school trip was organised. Remember that passive sentences can use the word by. Here are some more examples of passive sentences. The pizza was eaten is a passive sentence because it is not clear who ate the pizza. Another passive sentence is, the books were taken to the library by Nisha. This is passive because the books are the subject and they are having the action done to them. Our final sentence is, the car was driven to the office. This is a passive sentence because we aren't told who the car was driven to the office by. Passive verbs often end in the suffix ed, but this does not always mean that they are the past tense. For example, last month milk was delivered on Mondays is written in the past tense, but next month milk will be delivered on Tuesdays is written in the future tense. These are both examples of passive sentences because we aren't told who delivers the milk, and also the milk is the subject of the sentences and it is having the verb performed on it. Here is a summary of what we have learnt today. If the subject is performing the verb, it is an active sentence. If the subject is having the action done to it, or if it is not clear who is performing the action, it is a passive sentence. The passive is often used when we want the focus of the sentence to be the person or thing that is affected by the action.